or whatever period of time, we'll say from the time that Israel became a nation in 1948, but even before that, these Arabs never referred to themselves as Palestinians. Even after Israel became a nation, they didn't refer to themselves as Palestinians. Only from 1964 onward, when Arafat crystallized this strategy to gain the sympathy of the world. Now, in that connection, I'd like to read several quotes. In 1997, Syria's President Assad, who was the father of the current President Assad of Syria, once told Arafat, quote, "You do not represent Palestine as much as we do. Never forget this one point, that there is no such thing as a Palestinian people. There is no Palestinian entity. There is only Syria. You are an integral part of the Syrian people. Palestine is an integral part of Syria. Therefore, it is we, the Syrian authorities, who are the true representatives of the Palestinian people." Okay, another quote from the military commander of the PLO, as well as a member of the PLO Executive Council, Mersin, said, quote, "There is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese. We are all part of one nation. It is only for political reasons that we carefully underline our Palestinian identity. Yes, the existence of a separate Palestinian identity serves only tactical purposes. The founding of a Palestinian state is a new tool in the continuing battle against Israel."
Now, when was that said?
This was said, let me get my references here again.
And folks, we're looking at the history of the Palestinians, and from a historical perspective, the name Palestinian only seems to have emerged within the last 40 years or so. Do you have that?
Yes, the Refuge is a newspaper in the Netherlands. I'll spell the name, Trouw, and it was the March 31st, 1977 edition.
And the interesting thing about this, Ken, is you're talking about it in terms of time, the time factor where the name Palestinian became attached to those Arabs that are in this region. And from my perspective, I mean, you mentioned 1964 as the beginning, where you said the intellectual leap was made from being Arabs in that region to being Palestinians with a right to the region. And I was 6 years old at the time. And not that I'm trying to tell you folks how old I am, but the point to that is you've got a major part of the population of this nation that has never known anything different in terms of definition. For my entire lifetime, especially teenager as an adult, whenever you heard the word Palestinian, you automatically thought of Arafat. So we're at a disadvantage, I guess is what I'm saying, because what we've been told for our entire generation is really something that was put in place as a political ploy to make headway. So it's an interesting perspective, but when you go before that, Palestinians, there were no Palestinians is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll qualify that.
Okay.
And this is an interesting hook. Actually, hopefully very quickly, back in A.D. About 130 something to 140, the Roman nation who conquered Israel just wanted to obliterate it, and they bulldozed Jerusalem, and they gave it a different name, and they used the name Palestine, briefly. But that never stuck. You never see it on the maps any place from that time until, shall we say, 1921. So it came to be known, say, from the 1950 or AD 15, 17 onward, especially in the Christian world. It was known as the Holy Land. In 1921, when the after the Balfour Declaration, the League of Nations gave the British nation a mandate over the land of Israel to prepare it for Jewish statehood, it was Great Britain that used the name Palestine for the first time to refer to the Jews.
Okay, and this is in the 20s.
And this is in the 20s and 30s, so that there are postage stamps from Jewish post offices in that time, pre-1948, which was called Palestine by the British now, and these postage stamps say Palestine. The Jerusalem Post, which is a very popular English-speaking paper from Israel, before 1948, when Israel became an independent state, the Jerusalem Post was called the Palestine Post. And it was a Jewish paper. So actually, and accentuate this, in 1992, I took a group of ministers, Bible student ministers, and their families to Israel on a fact-finding tour, and Colonel Levy, who was the president and publisher of the Jerusalem Post at the time, spoke to our group, and he says, who are the Palestinians? He says, I'm a Palestinian. I'm the Palestinian. He says, I was born in Israel before it became an independent state, and I was called a Palestinian. I was called a Palestinian before the Arabs were called a Palestinian. All the Jews in the land were called Palestinians before the Arabs took the name in 1965.